What is the optimum link building outreach strategy? How should you reach out to your ideal target audience? How should you maximize the chance of getting a link? And has outreach changed much through the years? I am David Bain, and those are just a few of the questions that I'm going to be asking the panelists on today's Majestic SEO podcast and live stream. So let's get them to introduce themselves and bring them right on here. So starting off with AJ.
Hey, David. Thanks for having me. This is Ajay Paghdal. I'm the founder of Only Outreach, also the founder of Pitch Panda. Both are link building related businesses. One is a service, one is a platform. And been in outreach for about 10 years now, doing it actively day in, day out for a long, long time. And, super, super excited to be discussing some of these topics today.
Superb. Thanks so much for joining us, AJ. And also with us is Aaron.
Hi, my name is Aaron Anderson. I'm the founder of linkpitch.io. We're an outreach-based link building agency. I also run a podcast called Let's Talk Link Building. So, yeah, link building is a topic that I like to discuss, and happy to jump in.
Right person on the right panel. So that's a good start. And third panelist joining us today is Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna Bravington. I'm co-founder of Those That Dare. We're actually not a link building agency. We go back to strategy. So we look at the strategic side of things. So, but traditional PR all the way up to digital PR now, one of my favorite channels in the entire world. And I'm absolutely going to be doing lots of rants today, as I've said to the guys, and lots of passion about it because it's a wonderful channel. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Look forward to passion and rants, and not sure in what order, but thanks for joining us, Anna. And I couldn't get a fourth panelist beginning with the letter A, so I went to the letter I. Izzy, thanks for joining us.
Hi, hello, my name is Izzy, and currently I'm a co-founder and head of search in Creates Media. But when I started in working in digital marketing 10 years ago, I've started as an outreach specialist, and like a good couple of years of my career were focused, and I was living, breathing outreach and link building.
Living, breathing outreach and link building. That's another wonderful, relevant panelist. So got that one right as well. So I'm sure the conversation's going to be great. Thanks for joining us, Izzy. Let's go back to the original order and maybe ask our panelists the first question. And that is, how do you go about determining the ideal link opportunity? So AJ, what are your thoughts on that? How do you actually determine what the optimum opportunity is nowadays?
Yeah, so I think the standard has definitely been established to something that's niche relevant, something that already has authority, something that has a fair bit of traffic. So those are ways to just kind of like, as Google's, as their rules evolve and they focus on quality and relevance, then that's a nice way for link builders to say, okay, this is qualitative, this is relevant. But when you go like a couple levels deeper, and depending on how sophisticated you are with outreach and like, the kind of cat and mouse game of like, is this person inflating their metrics, or is this person inflating their traffic, or are these real metrics? Then you start looking a little deeper, and like below the surface, we could look to see if the website exists for any other reason than to like publish posts. So like, does it sell a product? Does it sell a business? That's usually a good indicator of probably a site that's worth going after. Does the site have like a right for us page, like plastered at the top of its like menu? If it does, then maybe this site doesn't exist to create good content. Maybe it exists to sell links. A few other ways, like as you get like deeper into the technical thing, you're like looking to see inbound versus outbound link ratios. So like, is this person linking out to way more sites than they get links from coming in? So like all of these are little like higher quality indicators of this is a site that's hard to publish on. This is a blog that someone cares about, what kind of content is published on that site. And like the traffic trends are probably going in a positive direction, not something that peaked 5 years ago. And now there's like, little remnants of traffic that people are trying to monetize. So that's some of the ways that we try to like go beyond niche traffic DR to like making sure that it's also just a real good site that's going to be in the like positive column and not the disavow column like 5 years from now.
Yeah, I'm talking about 5 years. It seems like 5 years ago that everyone was after logging influencers and links from those types of sites. But you mentioned there that you'd probably prefer a site with that sells products as opposed to just having a blog. So is that a hard and fast rule? Is a site that sells a product generally better than a blog nowadays?
Well, I find that like, you know, when you're getting into the SEO world of like link building, it's like, well, a lot of these vendors have figured out how to show up in certain searches. So if you're looking for pages where you can guest post, if you're looking for pages where you can write on, if you're looking for certain keywords, well, like these link vendors have been doing this for a long, long time. So every time someone searches that, those sites are always the ones that are popping up. So like now it's like, how do we discount that site versus an actual primary blog that is a blog that's publishing content, has an audience? So I wouldn't say it's a hard and fast rule of like, it must be making money in some other way. Like one of the ways it could be making money through ads, right? But in order to have revenue through ads, you need to have a lot of traffic. In order to have a lot of traffic, you need to have a lot of content control. And if you're like publishing guest posts willy-nilly, that's probably not the category you fall into. So I would say, yeah, more than just like avoiding blogs, but like being really, really picky with the type of blogs you go for.
Got you. Okay. And AJ mentioned that he will focus on niche websites as well. Is anyone on the panel actually, would anyone prefer having just a general website, but a fairly authoritative website over a niche website?
No, I think I totally agree with the relevancy. And there even been studies, so like I think in either the one before or one before that, right, in SEO, there's been one of the ladies been showing a study that they've done. They've built links from very relevant sites, and then the more general but really, let's say with a really nice flashy stats sites. And actually, from a SEO perspective, the really relevant ones were getting better results than the more general but the flashy stats ones. So I'll definitely agree the relevancy to your website and to your niche, but also to your audience, and the websites that your audience and your target audience will be getting something from as well. So it has to all make sense to your audience and to your niche.
Anna, you were nodding away there. I was hoping that you would disagree with something.
No, I don't really. I think the only way that I prefer a broader audience is like sort of those as you were saying about the flashy numbers. Sometimes when you're looking for a campaign that maybe does a dual aspect, whether it's the backlinks and wanting a bit of publicity at the same time, that's maybe the only time that I would go for one of those slightly broader, bigger, flashier number ones where, you know, there's a dual purpose to it as well. You know, a bit of that traditional PR with the digital PR. We want actually to get some big coverage, but actually we want to get a backlink at the same time. So that can work sometimes. And I've had it in the past where it's a bit of a catch-all, but at the same time, as what Izzy said, you probably won't get the same metrics, but you will get a little bit of both instead. So a sort of jack of all trades type of publication that you get.
I mean, no, 100%. So what we have to remember is it all should stay natural in a natural world, in a normal world that we live in. It will never be that a website will have just the relevant, super relevant links or just the completely irrelevant links. So it's usually a bit of both. So similar if we talk like follows and no follows, right? Usually it's a bit of both. So there will be reasons to give no follow, there will be reasons to give do follow. And it's similar with that. So sometimes, as you said, 100%. So I used to work with a client, they would do like a massive PR campaigns, and they will get coverage in like Metro and all the other London-based newspapers. And obviously they a bit more on the general side, yeah, because they will be writing about different various stuff. But for the campaigns they did, it actually made sense. So I think the key here, it has to make sense. So like whatever type of campaign, and we're gonna throw it depends straight away at the beginning, because why not, right? It depends what kind of campaign you're running. So if you run a campaign that will attract this sort of general publications, I think it's totally fine. You know, as long as it all ties together nicely. If you run a campaign that will attract more of the relevant ones, then that's great as well. I think we have to remember not to just go away and let's get just whatever. So we have to remember to focus, because if we focus on the relevant publications, we will also focus on our audience and on the things that they want, right? So I think I'm going to go back to my example from Brighton SEO. I think it was a website selling bike accessories, I think. I don't want to lie, but I think. And they've been talking about links from the bike-related website. So obviously where your audience will be. They probably, if they really, you know, love cycling, then they will be hanging around on a bike-related websites and maybe Facebook groups and stuff like that. So that's where you want to focus, right? That's where, because you want to get to them. That's your ultimate business goal, to get to your target audience, right? Whereas, but if you run like a full-on campaign to, I don't know, promote your cycling event for charity, let's say, then when it will make total sense to get you know, your general publications involved, because you want to get as many people as possible, right? So I think it all depends on the angle you take with your campaign.
Aaron, what are your general thoughts in terms of determining what link opportunity is the best opportunity to go for? Do you have any particular steps that you go through to identify the optimum opportunity? Is there any particular system that you use?
Sure. I think when you're evaluating a link opportunity, there's two ways to look at it. One is on the, like, what page are you going to build links to, or what type of content are you going to promote side? And the other is, well, who are my targets going to be? And there's also, I guess, on the what page am I going to target, there's some that's, okay, let's get the links that are going to build this page specifically to generate traffic, or is it more of a general approach to just building authority? So there's some different ways to look at it. And then on the, like, what pages to target perspective, I like to try to build links, like not paying for them or not doing guest posting and stuff. And so it's more about, okay, what approaches can I actually get links for, like this website, that are going to work without just paying for them? And so I think for me, it's being opportunistic on, are there certain types of campaign strategies that'll work for this type of page or not? So there might, for example, you have a money page, and yes, everyone wants links to the money page, but there may not be a strategy that you can identify that's necessarily going to work for that particular page in the moment. And so maybe while you're looking and identifying campaign types that will work, you may uncover an option later. Sometimes just being flexible with the type of campaign you're going to run allows you to just run with what's working well, and then while keeping your eyes open for opportunities that may later open up different opportunities.
AJ, how do you actually go about finding specific link opportunities? I mean, for instance, do you search Google for a particular keyword phrase and see what websites actually come up for that, and actually for the relevant websites there, reach out to them? Or is there some kind of software tool that you use to automate the process for you?
I've tried many. There are a few out there, and you know, they all kind of I'd say pull through the same sources. Google is indispensable for sure. It's got the freshest data. The search operator is super super flexible. Just recently, I started using the around search operator. I don't know if you guys have heard about that one, but it's like you take like a keyword like tax deductions, and you do tax around plus a number and then deductions, and then instead of just like looking for an article that has that exact like keyword on there, it'll return articles that have the words kind of nearby, so you can start to get like contextually probably relevant sources that way. So, you know, in general, we've been using tools like Ahrefs, their Content Explorer. We've been using Google Search, and I guess the goal, like the way we approach the prospecting, is like, I want to find a big raw pool of data to start with, URLs, and then like, how can I like filter this down to a more manageable level for like manual prospecting? So then that second part of it becomes like, you know, how do we use like bulk metrics checkers to just filter out low quality things? how do we automatically categorize like the certain page type that the results pull up? So it's like we can just like focus on sites that are actually publishing content and not just like info pages or directories or whatever the case may be. So I would say like it's a like the secondary filtering. It's a combination of like there's some really cool stuff that you can do with like GPT integrations in Google Sheets where you're like, shoot, I have a list of like 20,000 URLs. Like, how do I filter this down to something that's way more manageable? And it's like there's some really cool tools now where you're like, hey GPT, like just analyze each one of these like URLs and like, you know, give me X that meet X criteria, and like suddenly after 10 minutes you've gone from 20K to like maybe 500 or 1,000, and then it becomes like much more manageable in that way. That's like, I think that's where like the evolution of link prospecting is happening, which is like using more of these like AI tools to like have the people that are on your team like not really do as much mind-numbing work anymore, but like do more of like the kind of more fun stuff of qualifying and prospecting.
I loved your brief tip about using the around operator as well. I mean, that's been around for a while, but I guess most SEOs probably don't actively use that, and it helps to filter the results to hopefully deliver something a little bit more relevant to what you're looking for. And your mention of GTP was certainly interesting as well. Is there any particular plugin that you use with that and recommend?
So Sheets for Work, I think that's the website name. And then the Chrome extension itself is called GPT for Sheets. And yeah, it's got like little formulas that you can create, like equal GPT underscore classify, and then you feed it like I feed it like 15 common page types that show up on a web page, like a blog post, about page, contact page, and then I ask the tool to classify each page. And you know what I'm looking for are mostly blog posts that match a certain keyword combination, and like all these like other pages kind of try to get their way into the list. And instead of just like overwhelming someone with a manual qualification, GPT will just do it for you, and actually does a really good job if you give it the right classifiers.
Anyone else on the panel a fan of using GTP to assist with their outreach process?
Mine's not quite so technical, but I do love the sort of web pilot and the Bing connection, where you can go to a new site and ask it questions about the site, who writes on this, you know, what topics has it got on this, which is really useful, because if you've identified a site and you're trying to sort of understand if it's the right audience, if it's going to hit the mark, then I absolutely love just asking it questions, because now it's got the web integrations. You can ask it so many questions about websites, and they come back with some wonderful stats and information that can feed back to you. Even sort of journalists' names that are mentioned in the text as well, so you know once you get to that stage who you can contact as well. So that's one of my favorites.
And we've all
It can
received.
definitely make.
Go for it, Izzy.
Sorry, I was just going to say it can definitely make your work quicker, right? Even once you already established sort of which websites you'd like to go after, then it can make the process of reviewing and making sure that this is what you want a lot quicker.
And what you don't particularly want is to be reaching out to tens, hundreds of websites and hardly receiving any responses at all. So can we talk a little bit about what to say in the outreach process, the ideal medium to use? I mean, I presume that you're using email, maybe a lot of it personalized, but I mean, are there any specifics that you can advise around what to include in that outreach in order to get a response and get them engaged enough with what you're offering or talking about in order to consider what you're wanting to do with them? Shall we go with Aaron for that one? I was just looking at you on the screen there, Alan, just to make sure just to make sure you'd not frozen, but you moved, so
Okay.
good thing.
Yeah, so my approach to outreach has always been, I just want to be as short and straight to the point as possible. I avoid any sort of fake flattery or anything like that. And I don't try to be super creative in my outreach emails templates. It's just like I just want to let the person know as quickly as possible what I'm asking. And I find the success of the campaign is more based on the quality of the ask or the quality of the campaign itself than the actual email that I write, I don't tend to, some people are different. They get very creative in the writing. I tend to be more like, I find the success ranges more based on the quality of the prospect and the quality of the pitch that we're doing than it does from the templates. And so I'm actually pretty vanilla when it comes to that. But as long as you're, and I think too, one of the things different is a lot of prospecting is done based on content, but usually I'm looking at all my prospecting is based on backlinks. So I identify pages. I know, okay, they're linking to a number of this external page. So I know they'll be more willing to link to us. There's certain things like that I can kind of understand maybe their willingness to link to us. But as far as the actual words I say, I'm just trying to be as straight to the point as possible.
So by the quality of the ask, are you essentially saying the relevance of the offer?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for example, a very high converting like outreach campaign would be an unlinked mention campaign, where it's a very easy ask. They already know you, they've mentioned you in the article, but they haven't linked back. So you run that kind of campaign, you're going to have a high conversion rate because it's a very easy ask and it's a very warm. They already know about you because they wrote about you. Whereas there's other, like resource campaigns is going to have a different conversion rate. A broken link campaign is going to have, and so for example, like in broken link campaign, also the quality of the broken link and the quality of your replacement, that's going to be a bigger determinant of the success of that campaign than the words you say, because it's going to be pretty vanilla. It's like, you have a broken link, I'm suggesting a replacement. And so it's more about, okay, what was that broken link? How was it being referenced? Is it referenced in a way where they do want some sort of supplementary information being linked to? And then are you providing a good replacement? Those factors for me tend to influence more the success of that campaign than the actual template itself.
Arden, your audio was just getting slightly choppy there. Is it all right just to ask you to switch off your camera, and hopefully that's going to improve things a little bit?
Sure, no worries.
Thanks. Does anyone else in the panel have a more bespoke, individualized process to outreach? Do you, for instance, consider each email and look at all your potential prospects' sites and try and incorporate what they do to demonstrate that you've taken time to really understand what they do before doing that outreach?
Yeah, that's my preferred approach. So I think the one thing we sometimes forget when we're trying to get backlinks and coverage is that at the other end of an email is a person. They want a good quality article. They want something that's going to keep them in the good eyes of their boss. Journalism is incredibly hard at the moment. There's reduced teams. People are finding it incredibly difficult. So they want really good quality stories that are going to keep them their jobs, that they're going to feel proud about. So we want to just make sure that we're remembering that there's people there and having those relationships with them. So we understand what your audience is. Sometimes in emails I'll say, I think this will be perfect for your audience because of this and this, making sure that I know their audience and who they're targeting. I mention whether if I have seen them doing articles of similar things before. I saw you wrote an article on X, Y, Z. So I think this would be perfect for you. It's right up your street. And we've got to remember also sometimes there's a pre-outreach as well, which sometimes gets lost, where there's that relationship building. Olden days, before Digital, we had our little black books of journalists where we got to know people and we would go and pitch multiple clients to them. And with Digital, it's not always appropriate, but actually I'm on several groups, freelance media for women, and lots of wonderful groups with sort of journalists and bloggers on, where I get to know them beforehand, and I get to we help each other out, so that actually that outreach sometimes starts before the outreach, where you're building those really solid connections with people, so that if you send them a piece, they're actually just going to cover it because they know you're good. What you send is good quality. It's much deeper than that sort of. There's a bit of a lean towards sort of spray and pray approach where it's just sending a lot of links out. It's that really good quality stuff, because people don't have the time. You know, digital age, people are inundated with emails. You really need to stand out. If you've got a prior connection and they spot your name in that inbox, they're going to want to talk to you. So there's actually, I think, a lot more around the outreach than just the outreach. And I think some of that relationship building has definitely been lost, which can really help.
AJ, are you a fan of pre-outreach?
Yeah, that kind of sounds like the I don't know if I love the word, but it's like the sniper link building approach, where instead of like the shotgun approach, you're actually zooming in. What is it going to take for me to get this one opportunity completed? And that's probably more effort than just sending one email, right? It's like building a relationship, all that. As an agency with multiple clients, different niches, most of the clients are not like well-known brands. It's like there's some level of like process that we need to engineer into the system, where it's like, okay, we're starting with 500 prospects. We're going to email them. Of a certain percentage, they'll show interest. Of a certain percentage of those will eventually turn into links. And like the template does make a big difference in terms of like whether you get those initial responses or not. But I'd say the more valuable part is just how good the prospecting is, which in terms of like Aaron kind of said, it's like, it's not exactly the template. It's more about the person you reach out to and what the pitch is. You could say that 100 different ways, but if you contact the right person who's going to be interested in something like that, they'll probably respond. I was testing this myself, actually. Like over the past 2 or 3 months, I hired like a professional copywriter, because I was just like, these templates that were working 8 months ago, I just feel like they're not working the same as they used to. Maybe I've just like lost my mojo. Let me hire a guy and like see if he can and him being like a total copywriter, I looked at the emails and I'm like, wow, this like reads really well. And there were like a bunch of emojis in there and like lots of like exposition and all this stuff. But like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't know if I've actually replied to this. It's so long. It's like, who's going to read this? And then we tested it. Some of the campaigns, some people responded. They're like, "Whoa, really cool email. Yeah, we'd be happy to work with you." But in general, I think it was just like super long, not to the point, like kind of fake flattery, and it just didn't like land. So going back to more simpler times, that's probably where we'll kind of update some of our templates to focus on the more simple stuff. And yeah, I think that's a big part of it, though, is like testing, experimenting. And like, I think the strategy you have kind of depends on the type of service you offer. If you're going to offer, if you're going to specialize in link building, you have to have a certain process that's going to have lots of prospects at the top of the funnel, and a certain percentage of those will turn into links for clients. And you have to kind of deliver this on a monthly basis. Whereas if you're like working internally for one company or a couple companies, like you're really able to zoom in, focus, build relationship, build narrative. So like both strategies can work. It just depends on what the business goals are and like what kind of team you have to utilize for it.
AJ mentioned that he wasn't a particular fan of long emails that aren't really to the point. I must admit, when I get outreach type emails myself, I like emails to be short, to the point, demonstrate that they actually know what they're talking about in terms of what they're asking for, and hopefully that they've actually engaged a little bit with my site. But is there anything that you like to incorporate in emails to enhance your conversion rates, your likelihood that someone is going to read your email and get back to you?
I think, first of all, I think all of those answers were spot on. I just think they should all be put together. So definitely 100% what's important is what we're offering, because it's like with marketing. The best marketing won't sell bad product. So if the product that you want them to link to, so like your content piece, your resource, your whatever you're trying to get the links to, it's just not there and not quite good enough, the best outreach campaign is probably not going to help you. And if the product is great, but the outreach is and the marketing is not 100%, that's probably not going to get you the results as well. So I think both approaches are just should be put together, basically. And as for the emails, I totally agree with you. I'm sorry, David. I'm again agreeing with you. I hate like a very long type of emails. For me, and I kind of learned that not even from doing outreach, but more from receiving the, hey, we want to write a guest post for you. I think that's what I learned the most from, because I'll be totally honest. When I see guest post opportunity or guest post something, I just tend to delete the email straight away. Like I don't even look at it. And so I think like first your subject line is very important, because that's what we get so many emails, and we get to be swamped with emails and requests and people wanting stuff from us. So the subject line is really the thing that, oh, that's interesting, or oh, this again.
So what's an example of a subject line that you would use instead of guest post opportunity?
Well, I wouldn't use a guest post opportunity at all. Probably something that will catch. So I don't know, if you're offering a resource, put the resource name in, for example, and tell them what it's going to do for them. Like, I've got XYZ that's going to do this for you, or something like that. Maybe it's a hard question to like come up with on the spot, but definitely not like, oh, I want to write a guest post for you. Or at least for me, from my perspective, as I said, I tend to delete those emails straight away, because like I don't tend to get guest posts. So, but what Anne said as well, and I remember even when I started working, this what we've been taught once and more times, that we have to build relationships with those people that we want to. It's not like get it, because when I started, it was guest posting and write for us. That's what we've been looking for. It was 10 years ago. It was completely different times, right? But even then, it wasn't like, don't do write for us, guest post, and move on to the next one. Build up the relationship. Try to work with them for longer time. And I don't think that changed. Even that the write for us is gone and the guest posting is kind of gone, right? Should be gone at least. The building the relationships is still there and should still be there. So if we put it all together, we've got like a really good product or a resource, let's say, for people to link to, because there has to be a value at the end of the link. There has to be a reason for me to link, because if there's no reason, then why would I? There has to be a reason, and why would my audience click through? Why would I want my audience to click through? To give them some value, some additional value, right? So there has to be a value. But if I already had a relationship with that person, so if I connected with them on social, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or whatever, and they already know me, they're going to be 100% more likely to be like, oh, this is a good subject line from this person that I know. I'll check it out. But probably if I just written, even if they know me on Twitter, and if I just said, oh, I want to write a guest post for you, they'd be like, yeah, like 100 other people, just go away. So 100% not too long and to the point. That's what I prefer. Because when I see all of that, I'm just like, yeah. And the guest post in the subject line, I'm just like, no, I don't even want to read it. But the subject line has to be like, catchy, and you have to give something already for the person to get interested. That's what I think. At least that's what my approach is.
Let's just talk a little bit about what we should offer, if anything, in order to get a link, because some companies are willing to pay cash, some companies are willing to give away things for free, some companies think that just being associated with their brand should be enough in order to get a link for that person. So is there anything in terms of the style of asking or the style of offering, whatever you're offering in exchange for a link is a more effective thing to do? Are you seeing any trends in terms of what bloggers or other people who are going to link to you are looking for in exchange for a link? Aaron, shall we start off with you on that one?
Sure. So, yeah. So with my the type of link building I do, I try to avoid the paid linking and the guest posting. Those types of things are not really in my wheelhouse. But the fact of the matter is that there's some industries that I just can't work in, because there's certain industries, in order to compete, it's very hard to build enough backlinks in certain industries without, offering some sort of payment or something in exchange. So it really depends on the industry that you're working in and how competitive it is. And then in regards to, how are people asking for things, like there is definitely it's very viable to build a lot of backlinks without, giving something in terms of monetary compensation or something, but there are things that people appreciate you doing for them. And that's why, like, something like broken link building, there's an inherent value in it to people. And there are types of strategies that there is value in it. And so I think when you're giving someone value, they're more likely to listen to your pitch and respond positively. But as far as, you know, how people are asking and what they're doing, I mean, the fact of the matter is, apart from PR, how many people are actually building backlinks without giving some sort of exchange? It's pretty small. It's kind of almost a dying form of outreach. A lot of the PR, you know, that they're doing earned links, but, you know, most of the typical link building is guest post, pay link building, exchange-based link building. And so there's a lot of that going on. But since it's not something I do, I'm not as, you know, well-versed as kind of the best way to ask and the best way to kind of do those negotiations.
Okay, great, thanks. And by the way, Aaron, your audio was silky smooth now that you turned off your video. Sorry, sorry, Izzy, go ahead.
No, I just said I think I wouldn't agree. It's that the link building, or maybe if I understood incorrectly, please tell me. But I wouldn't agree that the art of building links or earning links, we should really say now, without exchanging like money or products is a dying art. I think we're actually moving towards it more and more. But what we kind of missing, and what I think many people are missing, is like link building and PR. We still tend to distinguish them so much, and they're actually quite connected, and they actually very close and should be very close, and they're very, very similar arts. They just called differently. So what we have to remember is Google doesn't want us to kind of build links, like they want us to earn links. And this is where PR comes. And this is how, but I promise you, I even tried it without trying on my own website. And yes, this is slower because it's a lot slower to earn links and actually go out and pay people for links, but it's doable. And if you do stuff and kind of like show off your expertise, you will get those mentions and you will get those links more in a PR-ish way than the old-fashioned, let's say, link building way. But it's definitely something that I think we're moving towards rather than away from.
Sure. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. It's just, I think the distinction is that most people that are doing more earned type of link building, they call themselves digital PRs. And most people that call themselves like link builders, they tend, at least from my experience, they tend to be more on like the guest posting, link exchange kind of side of things. But yes, there is and there is a distinction there, and it's not fully understood, and some people use it differently. And so it is the way people use digital PR and link building, it is a muddy kind of definition. And so yeah, there's some misunderstanding there for sure.
AJ, is it possible to earn all the links that you would like?
Sure, that's a tactic for sure. Earning a link to a DevOps service page maybe might not be as easy, or earning a link to some product page and on an e-commerce thing that's a deep link may not be that easy. I can give the perspective of like a link building agency who has multiple clients and has to deliver like many high-end links per month, and like how we try to go about it. The first thing is it's usually the email that has like nothing to offer in return. Usually requires some kind of like build up relationship thing to get there, or some really amazing piece of content or some unique data. And sometimes you just don't have those assets available to you. So you may want to take stock of what assets you do have. And then for some people who have a large social media audience, they can say, okay, we'll publish this and then we'll blast it out to our audience. And that might be the thing you offer. Or whether it's a newsletter, same kind of thing, right? And if you can include that, show proof of that, make it interesting, then that's amazing. If you have access to other websites that are high quality, well known, good metrics in the space, that thing you offered could be like a link exchange. Or like I've even seen people do like, if there's something I can offer you in return, I'm just leaving it open-ended like that. Like even that is kind of like a, hey, I know I'm asking you for something, but I'm not just asking for a handout. I'm willing to work with you, willing to be helpful. And like just that little extra like addition to an email can make a big difference. I posted something on my LinkedIn a couple of days ago, like a little graphic of like one of my favorite link building strategies. This is something that I tested out last month, and I was like, okay, I don't have any link swap assets. I want to get onto really high-end blogs, and I want to connect with like people who are actively in this industry, publishing on really good sites. And like, how do I get in there? How do I build relationships? How do I provide value? So like one of the things I was playing around with was a strategy where it's kind of like a two-pronged approach, where first I'm looking at the high-end sites in the industry. So for like marketing, maybe that's Search Engine Journal and a few others like that. And then on the other end, I'm looking to get like a contributor post on a relatively well-known niche blog in the marketing space. And then I guess the post that I would publish would be some kind of expert roundup or just something that gives like a how-to, and it'll just give me an opportunity to include the other people like within this article, maybe as an expert mention, maybe as something like that. So like thinking about it as like a two-pronged approach where I do this guest post thing here, but I'm reaching out to influencers to provide them value here. And then suddenly you're just kind of like, killing two birds with one stone. You've built relationships for that you can leverage in the future. And you're also building like a pretty high quality article to publish on a niche relevant blog post. So just like getting creative, like I think that's the biggest takeaway is depending on the industry, depending on what you have available to you, it's just taking stock of that and then doing something that's more unique than, guest post opportunity, subject line, as they say.
And what I've heard,
Yeah, I think
Izzy.
I was just gonna say that I think getting creative is the actual takeaway, because once you get the idea, like a very good idea, and then you can turn it into content or into a resource or into something that you can put on your site, then I would say it's a lot easier to actually get people interested if you already got something of value at the other end of the link. So if there is something, as we mentioned, like a data set or like a survey, or like if we run a survey and then publish a results of something else of interest, then it's a lot easier to get people interested because they might use it like in theirs. So let's say if I'm writing an article on something and someone just pitched me like, hey, we've got this amazing survey results here, then it's going to be a lot easier for them to get a link from because they're going to be like, wow, that would really go well with whatever I'm working on. I'm going to send my audience there. So I think that getting creative and getting the first idea and then doing it right, that's your main bit, because then it's really a lot easier to get those links pointing to you and to earn those links as well.
Anna, what I heard from Ajay was that I felt that he said, maybe you feel free to disagree with me, Ajay, but I felt that what you were saying is that if you don't have a budget, then you need to focus on building relationships, and then you've got a chance of getting links for free. But if you do have a significant budget, then you don't have to focus so much on building that relationship, and you can just outreach more with whatever you've got to offer.
I don't know if like a majority of my links come, even if I had a big budget, a majority of my links coming from sites that I have to pay to publish them. That's probably not like where I want the majority of my links to come from, or that's not like what link neighborhood I want a majority of my links to be in. I have nothing against paid links. A certain percentage of paid links is fine, and some industries is really hard to build links without paying for them. But I think it's diversity is more what I'm kind of about. And if you have a bigger budget, then besides just paying for links, you can do even more creative stuff probably.
And Anna, would you have any final thoughts on this particular question just before we move on to the last one?
Yeah, I mean, I think from my perspective, I feel that, big brands, I've worked at big brands that game and I've worked with micro businesses, and I kind of approach them both the same, because I feel we were talking about the quality of the content and what are we going to give them. I mean, the gift is that we're giving them something of quality that's going to be useful to them, whether you're coming from a small company or a big company. I've got the same links from a one-man band as I have a large company in the same publications, because of the quality of the content is equal. It's not about the name, it's about the quality of the content and whether that's equal. And like Izzy was saying about, having that landing page, which, from small businesses to large businesses, you can have that and that quality of content. So for me, I think that the size of business doesn't matter much. I've got a friend that's gone viral with a very small business who's got a digital PR agency, cost us at Story and Search, and he's gone viral with really, really small page, got backlinks at all of these publications that he wanted, and did incredibly well. So I think it's more the quality that's there, and because I don't want people that've got small businesses to think, oh, actually, I can't do this, I can't get the backlinks, because it's actually you can produce just as much good quality content. You've got thought leaders, you've got data. A lot of people don't use their data. Like Izzy was saying, data is really, really valuable. So it's just about giving the gift of something that's good quality to someone who needs it, because that's publications need articles and they need information, they need something to keep their readers active, and it's just about connecting those dots, really, rather than worrying too much about pay. I don't really like paid stuff. I like all the organic stuff. I want it free.
If I may, just like a final thought. Well, I think what we have to remember as well, because we keep saying like creating content and getting the content out there, but in fact, it doesn't actually have to be the actual content. So like you said, small businesses shouldn't think that, oh, we have to create an ebook now, or like tons of pages of content. It can be different things. You just have to get creative. So years back, I used to work with a manufacturing company. So what you might call a boring industry. So they would manufacture like little gaskets and like, not very creative stuff. But what we did for them, we ran a manufacturing awards kind of stuff. It was all online, but we like invited other manufacturers from the from around where we were, and it actually, it was a really good campaign, and we got quite a few very good backlinks to homepage, and I can't exactly remember where they've been pointing, but definitely some very good homepage links and some other important pages as well. So it doesn't have to be actual tons and tons of content. It's just getting creative with what we do and getting people interested. I think that's the main takeaway of earning those links for free.
I think also on top of that, being coordinated with your agencies. So if you have more than one agencies or internal teams, if people are creating content already, get everyone connected up, because if someone's creating content but then someone's link building elsewhere and it's all siloed, then that can be a lot more work. Whereas if everyone's working together and a piece of content is then reusable, it's for digital PR, it's for link building, it's for this, it's for sales team, you can actually connect the dots, and particularly for small companies don't have much time, they can reuse that content across multiple different channels. And I think the problem comes when people get all these different departments doing different things, and that actually creates more work. If you're got the web team making a landing page, the insight team doing getting the data, and this is what we're all joining together to do, it makes it a lot easier. So 100% agree with Izzy, and it's about getting that, being creative,
this
but getting
is a brilliant advice.
I don't want to stop things when it's all brilliant advice like this. Look, guys, let's finish up with one more quick fire question, and then an opportunity just to remind the listener where they can find out more about you and contact you if they want. So the one question is, you can either choose for one or two. So it's either what's one outreach thing that people need to stop doing, link builders, SEOs, whatever, need to stop doing, or what's one outreach activity, that's better than thing, that SEOs and link builders need to start doing. And that's based upon, I guess, something that's either used to work 10 years ago, and you see people still doing it now and they just need to stop doing it, or something that has changed and probably works more effectively now, but you don't see enough people doing now. So that's one thing like that to share. And then after that, if you just simply share, remind people who you are and where people can find you. So shall we start off with Aaron?
Sure. So I guess if I can think of one thing that people should start doing, you guys talked a lot about being creative, and I'm not the most creative person, but there is other form of link building where it doesn't require creativity and it's purely numbers driven. That's kind of where I sit. And that's where I say broken link building is something that people should still be doing. because it's something that it was like the OG link building strategy, and it still works today. I've gotten links from New York Times and all these. And the nice thing about it is, like, you know, sometimes these small companies and things, when you talk about being creative with content, it feels so challenging to create this, you know, a very creative content that's going to garner links. But with broken link building, you can find a broken piece of content. All you have to do is recreate it. And that takes all that amount of effort and like creativity kind of out of it. If I can find like a broken studies and just use those stats and compile those stats into a stats page, and that can be recreated, then it can just make it much simpler and just more numbers driven. And for someone that just wants to know exactly what they're going to get, it can take a lot of the uncertainty out of the creation and the outreach process.
Lovely. And where can people find you, Aaron?
So you can find me linkpitch.io or on my podcast, Let's Talk Link Building.
Superb. Thank you, Aaron. And AJ, what would be your final tip, and where can people find you?
Well, I guess this would relate to people who are similar to me in terms of, like, if you like tinkering with new toys and you have like a desire for automation in your systems, then if you are sending emails and sending lots of emails and using templates, it's just like the high name personalization and maybe like personalizing like the company name or something. Like, it's just not going to be as, that was at least like table stakes now. Before it was you could blast out anything, then it's like do some personalization. And now with like AI tools coming out, I think it's going to enter the era of like hyper personalization, which could be super time consuming, or like with the right mix of tools and tinkering and experimentation, it could actually be like pretty like time effective. And I've already been playing around with like, how do we like customize a pitch based on, you know, scraping here, scraping there, like doing the relationship thing, but maybe at a larger scale where it kind of looks more like you're doing it versus actually doing it. So far, the results aren't great, but there's potential there. It's only going to get better. So for someone who was looking for advice, I would just say, like, you know, test out the new stuff that's happening, the AI, GPT, all the new tools that are coming out. Like, whoever starts to figure that stuff out first is going to have, I think, a higher kind of advantage when it comes to link building and outreach. And to reach out to me, onlyoutreach.com is my business, and Ajay Paghdal is where I hang out on Twitter. And I think David has gone dark.
David, are you still there?
Oh, we can go rogue
Right.
now.
I'll go. I'll just keep things going. So I think I'm gonna build up on what AJ said on the personalization, but at the same time I'm gonna go very basic. Hello, David. We just kept going without you. Is that okay?
You go for that. That's right. Exactly what I thought you would do. And thank you.
Yes. So yeah, I was just saying I'm gonna build on what AJ said, but at the same time I'm gonna go very basic with what people should start doing. What should they really been doing for ages already, but unfortunately still not do. Please do test your emails, especially if you go with automated emails and you send a lot of them. I absolutely hate, and I promise you all the brands will hate getting emails, hello first name, and stuff like that, and that still happens. So please, I mean, I understand using templates because we do stuff on a mass scale, and obviously we will use templates, right? But please do check your templates. Send a test email to your colleague and ensure it doesn't go out like hello first name or with a subject line in the brackets. And yes, and you can find me on Twitter at easy_cm or at creatorsmedia.co.uk.
What a bunch of pros. Thank you so much, Izzy. And I presume it's just Anna to go.
Just me, yeah. So I'm going to go back to the people thing, that making sure that you understand who you're talking to, who you're outreaching to. That's what we need to start doing. I saw a wonderful tweet, actually, I think it was yesterday, from Luke Cope from Bottled Imagination, who sent out some outreach and sent it to 63 people and got 100% open rate. That's about tailoring your content, getting the subject line right, getting the message right to the right person. That's the sort of results you can get when you do it right and do it well, because then it's not wasted energy. You're just getting it to the right people that need it and who are right for your audience as well. Also, you can find me on thoseatdare.com or LinkedIn. I'm always on there. Anna Bravington. I'm the only Anna Bravington, so easy to find.
Well, thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much to the whole panel. Absolutely wonderful discussion today. I've been your host, David Bain, on, of course, the Majestic SEO podcast. If you want to join us live next time, sign up at majestic.com/webinars. And of course, check out our other series at SEOin2023.com. Thank you, and bye-bye for now.